God does not always work in the ways that we would expect. And if we look at the book of Judges in the Old Testament, we see God working through people, through judges who are often strange or not even really good guys. And I want to look at Judges chapter 3 and this strange story of Ehud. Ehud's story is one that you might read in your daily devotions and think, what do I do with this? Ehud was a left-handed man, and God raised him up to be a judge or deliverer for the people of Israel out of the king of Moab, out of his hands. And so God raises up this left-handed man, and Ehud actually stabs the king of Moab. It says he's very fat, and Ehud stabs him in the stomach to kill him, and that saves Israel, and Israel has peace for 80 years because of Ehud, the deliverer. Well, there's a lot of interesting and even funny details in this story, and one of them is that Ehud is left-handed. Now, back in those days, it was not respected or good to be left-handed. So already Ehud has a strike against him. And the text even takes this a step further by saying that he is a Benjaminite. But do you know what Benjamin means? Benjamin means son of my right hand. Son of my right hand. But Ehud is left-handed. So he has these strikes against him. And the text even emphasizes this. And I think the reason that Judges does this with Ehud is to show us that Ehud is not the type of deliverer the people would expect. He's a surprising deliverer. You know, the people would have expected deliverers like King Saul, who was a head taller than everyone else in Israel. And he became the king. And how did he do? He failed. And Judges is full of deliverers like this, like Ehud and others who are either strange or flawed or sinful in bizarre ways. Well, I think this shows us that God's ways of working are often surprising and not what we expect. If he can use a left-handed man who's the son of the right hand to deliver Israel, then he can use whatever he wants. In fact, you even think about the gospel, and we see this in Jesus. Jesus, in many ways, was not what they expected from the Messiah. Certainly, as the King of Kings, the King of heaven and earth, no one expected him to come and humble himself, wash the disciples' feet, ride into Jerusalem on a donkey, and then die a humiliating death on the cross for our sins. Jesus is the ultimate surprising deliverer from God, fulfilling everything that we see in Judges and the Old Testament. Then you even think about the Apostle Paul, who said he had great weakness and he boasted in his weakness. But in 2 Corinthians 12, God says, my power is made perfect in your weakness. And so Paul boasts in his weakness and in his sufferings and how God uses that in surprising ways for his glory. So really, this is a theme in the whole Bible, and something we see about God is he uses the humble things of this world, even the weak things of this world, in his saving purposes. He used Ehud, the left-handed man, to save Israel. He used Paul in all of his weakness as an apostle. He ultimately used Jesus, the humble king, who died as a sacrifice for our sins on the cross, and then rose from the dead. So, brother or sister, in your weaknesses, God can use you. And God may want to use even the things about yourself that you would least expect to help other people to know Jesus or to encourage other people or give you spiritual gifts that you might be surprised about to use for his kingdom and for the building up of the body. So be on the lookout for God's surprising deliverance and the often surprising ways that God may work in our lives.